Very, very different times in the Labour Party. Derek Hatton, why don't you just update us on what your occupation is now for people who haven't followed your career since then?
I don't think it's important what my occupation is now. I think it's far more important what happened in the 80s and the comparison to what is going on now. And I think the interesting point was that, don't forget, we in Liverpool had probably about 10, 15 years of a Liberal-Tory alliance that had ruined the city. And of course, what you've just seen now is 5 years in government of a Liberal-Tory alliance prior to this. The difference was that when we stood in 1983, we put up a sort of campaign that was anti-austerity and was prepared to take on the Tory government. Unfortunately, even under Ed Miliband, he wasn't allowed to put that sort of alternative forward. And because he didn't put that forward, then obviously they got the annihilation they did. I think what you're beginning to see with Jeremy Corbyn, and almost more importantly, what you're seeing within the rank and file of the Labour Party, and I read the other day that 30,000 people had joined the Labour Party. I mean, that is probably more important than who is actually going to stand. The important thing is you're seeing now a big mass of individuals who are saying, hang on a minute, we actually see now a policy which we can actually align ourselves to, and once we align ourselves to that, then obviously they're going to be part and parcel of a movement, which is probably more important.
There's no doubt that he's generated huge excitement. Look, I do want to just get the answer to the question, because you're a bit of a property developer, right? And you've got a media company to do after dinner speaking. Are you embarrassed? You can't be embarrassed about that. Come on.
I've never been embarrassed about anything in my life. I'm not going to start now. I'm not a property developer. I have not been a property developer, but the media choose to make me one, then fine. I'll be. Listen, what you've also remembered.
Are you available as an after-dinner speaker? Are you like Tony Blair, that you go around doing lectures?
I haven't done a lecture and after-dinner speaker for probably 10 years.
Okay.
The reality is what I stood for in 1983, and which got us elected in Liverpool and could have got elected in many other cities as well.
And you were booted out of the... Sorry to interrupt.
You don't be sorry.
You were booted out of the Labour Party.
Correct. And
you're trying to rejoin.
I was booted out of the Labour Party by a combination of Kinnock, Thatcher and the House of Lords. And I tell you what, we never lost an election in Liverpool. Not many people in Liverpool voted for Kinnock, Thatcher or the House of Lords.
Right, John Reginald, are you convinced Jeremy Corbyn can't win?
No.
You think it could actually happen now, do you?
I do. I now think that almost anything can happen. I mean, I did think it was completely unthinkable. I was convinced at the start of all this that Jeremy Corbyn would come fourth. But, it's become patently obvious that there are thousands of young people joining the party who want to vote for Jeremy Corbyn.
Should Labour not think this proves we're a broad church in a good way?
Well, we're a very broad church, or Labour is a very broad church.
Well, it's not clear that Derek Hatton will get in, actually.
Well, I thought he had joined. I thought he had rejoined the Labour. You are a member,
Derek Hatton, are you a member or not a member at the moment?
In my pocket now, I've got a Labour Party card.
But I thought they were looking at whether they were going to veto your...
I always assumed that having a card meant you're a member of the Labour Party. The General Secretary told me that it was going to go to the NEC. I'm still waiting for that, and so is the NEC.
Well, I mean, the Labour Party is a broad church. It allows property developers to join, and that's one of its great strengths.
Are you politically, though? I mean, as a sort of Blairite, just tell me this: you're not a member of the party, we should stress. Are you closer to Corbyn or Cameron?
Oh, Cameron, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I actually preferred David Cameron as Prime Minister to Ed Miliband at the last election. I mean, what is really makes Blairites like me despair is that the Labour Party tried electing a left-wing leader. And we tried to tell them that it wouldn't work and that David Miliband would have won the election, and Ed Miliband ploughed ahead. And yet the Labour Party's reaction to all that is to let Derek Hatton back in.
Derek Hatton, what is the answer to that basic question?
The answer is, if you can get somebody there who claims to be a Blairite to actually rather have Cameron and the Tories in power than they would Ed Miliband or in power himself, then quite honestly, that says everything to me where the alliance really is. And it's between New Labour and the Tories, and the press and the media are joining forces. Every single newspaper at the moment is campaigning against Jeremy Corbyn. Now that, for me, makes me think he's doing something right.
Right.
Well, yes, but how are you actually going to defeat the Conservatives? Which I would much rather have a Labour government, Derek, than a Conservative government. But I'd rather have a Labour government that actually people could feel comfortable with and could vote for.
John, all I can say is in the 80s, we managed to win in Liverpool with every single media.
Don't give me that.
No, every single media going against us. I don't think Liverpool was any different to Birmingham or to Manchester or to London or to Bristol.
You ensured that the Labour Party couldn't win general elections.
No, of course the Labour Party could win a general election with that policy. People said Scotland couldn't win a general election with that policy. He certainly showed the Scottish Labour what to do.
Derek Hatton, I'm going to push you on this. Do you think the Labour Party needs to win sizable numbers of Conservative seats in order to govern Britain or not?
Of course the Labour Party has to win those seats,
right.
But those seats can
and
be won
is Jeremy
by
Corbyn
a policy.
the man?
Those seats can be won by a policy that ordinary people can identify with. And it's about anti-austerity, it's about anti-cuts, it's about seeing someone who can actually say, I'm sorry, this is the way we're going to go. We're not going to pretend, we're not going to not answer questions, we're actually going to say where we're going to go, and people can identify with them. And unfortunately, because I'm still a Labour supporter, unfortunately the SNP showed exactly how to do it in Scotland.
Right. Could we just talk about entryism? I'll come to you in a moment, Derek Hatton, but entryism. Are you worried that the people who are signing up to join the Labour Party are somehow illegitimate as members of the Labour Party, or are they just enthusiastic supporters
I
of
think
one of
that's
the
a distraction.
candidates?
I think there are a lot of Trotskyists and communists who are joining the Labour Party, signing up for their £3. But actually, I think that's beside the point. I mean, the problem is that none of the mainstream candidates have been able to inspire enough people to counterbalance that, and I think that's Labour's tragedy.
I mean, Derek Hatton, you know a thing or two about entryism because you were accused of being militant entryist at the time of the whole Liverpool saga in the 80s. What do you think is going on? Just give us your account of what is going on there.
Let me just say, I denied entryism and then I deny it now. But the reality is, I think what's going on now, it's nothing to do with ex-Trotskyists, ex-Marx, ex-Tories, whatever else joining. It's about thousands and thousands of young people joining the Labour Party because they see that they need to have an alternative to Cameron, to the cuts and everything that's going on. And Jeremy Corbyn has given them a hook to hang their hat on. And I think that is so encouraging, not only for the country, but for the Labour Party as well.
John Rentoul, Derek Hatton, thanks both.